The 2024 NBA Summer League just finished up, and the Washington Wizards had maybe one of their most eventful summer leagues to date. So what I want to do today is kind of just give an overview of everything that happened in this summer league for the Washington Wizards, and then attach grades to each coach and player as it relates to the summer league. But before we get going, make sure to subscribe. We're on our way to 1,000 subscribers. We just hit 500 the other day, so I appreciate that a ton, but make sure to subscribe so we can get to 1,000, and let's get going. Now, to start things off, I just want to talk about the results we did end up seeing in Summer League. Overall, in Summer League, we ended up going 3-2, but obviously wins and losses don't matter nearly as much as the development of the players in Summer League. Now, combining both wins and losses plus the development of the players I personally saw, I would give this Summer League as a general overall grade, probably a B. Now, although we did see a lot of player performances go up and down, overall, I think this Summer League was an environment that was suited to development, and we did end up with a over 500 record. And although 5 games is a very, very small vacuum, I thought Coach Cody Topper did a fine job in this Summer League. I thought he managed rotations well. Some of his sets on offense were fairly creative. I think he did a good job putting both the rookies and the vets in situations to succeed, even if they didn't take that steps on them themselves. And Topper will be coaching the Capital City Go-Go, which is our G League team this upcoming season, for the second straight year. We made the quarterfinals of the playoffs last season, so hopefully we can see some more success there, and maybe we can look at Coach Cody Topper as more of like a real assistant coach option in the future. But as a general statement for both him and the results of Summer League, I would set it at a B. Now, as we get into the more player-driven grades, I do want to just set a quick criteria for how I will grade each player's performance. So starting off, all these grades will be relative. So for example, Alex Sarr is going to get graded harsher than, say, Kyshawn George, as Alex Sarr was the second pick and Kyshawn George was the 24th pick. And then number 2 is more of a clarification more than a rule. But if I give somebody a high grade, that does not mean they're going to be the best player ever. And if I give somebody a low grade, that doesn't mean they're going to be the worst player ever. They are simply grades for this Summer League environment. Then starting off, let's talk about Alex Sarr, maybe the hottest story of this entire Summer League. For me, Alex Sarr earned a D for his Summer League performance. The stats do a really good job of speaking for themselves here. Only 5.5 points per game. His splits were literally abysmal. 19 from the field, 11 from 3, and 50% from the line, although that was only 2 attempts. Now, Alex Sarr struggled with a lot of things in Summer League, and I thought it was easier to visualize and talk about conceptually if I put it on a list. I found Sarr's screen setting pretty lazy and soft. He set a lot of brush screens, almost immediately looking to pop instead of roll. He shot a lot of long 2s, contested 3s, pull-up jumpers instead of getting into the paint and taking shots that are advantageous to a 7-1 frame. The effort on the boards was often pretty shaky. While sometimes he would go up and aggressively grab rebounds, other times he would just ball watch. And lastly, I found Alex Sarr was getting out muscled a lot in the paint, both on the defensive side of the ball and offensive side of the ball. Offensively, he couldn't really get the shots he would like against defenders in the paint, and defensively, any post-driven scorer guy was often getting many looks that they would like against Alex Sarr. But Alex Sarr's one consistency in all these problems is simply giving more effort. Almost every problem that I brought up can almost be directly fixed by just simply giving more effort. If Alex wants to set better screens, get in the stance, get low, set a good hard screen on your defender, and create an advantage for both you and your guard. And that point almost directly ties into the next one. Want to get better looks at the rim? Set a good screen, roll hard, and then you'll get better looks at the rim. And I think this is honestly why it was so excruciating to watch these games as Wizards fans at times, because effort is something you're taught in any walk of life. If I go to the grocery store tomorrow, I'm going to have to give effort to go across the store, to go to aisle 10 here to get my milk, to go to aisle 4 to get the cereal I want. So you're going to have to give effort in life, especially on the basketball court. Now, when you look at guys having a motor or an effort issue, I think you can look at it one of 2 ways, a positive way and a negative way. If you're on the positive side, you can look at the situation and say, hey, Alex Sarr has all the tools in the world to do these things. He can set hard screens, he can finish in the paint, he has the tools, but he simply doesn't give effort. So positively, I'm thinking that all he has to do is lock in on the effort part and everything else will take care of itself. Simple enough. Or you can look at it more negatively and say, effort is hard to teach. You can teach a lot of things on the basketball court. You can teach a guy a new dribble combo. You can teach a guy how to play help side defense. You can teach a guy a new dunk. You can teach a lot of different things. You can lock Alex Sarr in the weight room for the rest of his rookie contract and put weight on him, make him stronger, which helps with the last point that I made. But one thing you can't teach is effort. If a guy does not want to give effort, it's really hard to energize him enough to give effort, because that's something that has to come within. You can say, we can have our coach Brian Keefe grill Alex Sarr all you want, but if he doesn't have the will to give effort, I don't know if he ever will. Now, I think I've grilled Alex Sarr enough because I did not actually give Alex Sarr an F for his grade. I do think he did some good things on the basketball court, even if he was struggling offensively and with the things I mentioned. I think Alex's defense was pretty strong outside of the post defense. He did a good job showcasing his versatility on the defensive side of the ball, switching often, and highlighted by a segment of getting 3 blocks in 33 seconds while protecting the rim. I also think Alex showed some potential passing the ball this summer league. Although his screens were often weak, sometimes he would catch the ball in that short roll, make good passes to the corner, make good passes on the bounce pass to open guys. So I think he was very strong passing the ball this summer league. And that's what I think keeps Alex Sarr from an F in my mind. But I don't want to understate it. I don't want to sugarcoat it. Alex Sarr had one of the worst summer leagues from a number 2 pick that I can remember. Now, that does not mean he's doomed forever. Alex Sarr likely has a bright future ahead of him. I would still predict him to make an all-rookie team, but this was objectively a really bad summer league for Alex Sarr. Now, flipping over to the more positive side of the rookies, I gave Bub Carrington an A- for his summer league performance. Bub put up 16 a game, 7 boards, 5 assists on 33, 36, 86 splits, and actually had a 15 rebound game to end out the summer league. I thought Bub was as advertised scoring the ball. He got to his spots often, shot very well from 3, got to his spots in the mid-range, and overall got some good looks, even if the efficiency doesn't necessarily reflect that. Bub also did a very good job as a floor general, often slowing down the offense, getting guys in their sets, and making good passes to get good looks. He was always super engaged on the defensive side of the ball, got his hands in a lot of lanes, got his hands on the ball, and overall stayed active on that end. As well as that, he was snagging rebounds. I thought his playmaking, his shot making, and even his defense were stuff that you came in expecting from Bub Carrington, but I'd never expected him to be this active on the boards in summer league so far. A 15 rebound game for a 6'5 guard in summer league is really unheard of. And overall, I thought this was a very strong summer league for Bub Carrington. He did a lot scoring the ball, did a lot passing the ball, defending, rebounding. Overall, he gave everyone a good taste of what he's going to bring this season in what is likely to be a heavy bench role. Obviously, I think you would have liked to see the efficiency, especially in the 2-point area, be a bit better, but overall, very strong summer league for Bub Carrington, and that's why I give him an A-. As for the third first-round pick of the Washington Wizards this season, I would give Kyshawn George a B for his summer league performance. Now, Kyshawn's counting stats numbers don't necessarily pop, only 9 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. His efficiency numbers definitely do pop. 52% from the field, 48% from 3, extremely impressive, and 70% from the line. Now, what impressed me most from Kyshawn this summer league wasn't necessarily the numbers he put up, even the efficiency he put up. It was just how projectable his role looked at an NBA level. Kyshawn is a genuine 6'8". His shot looked super pure, very pretty jumper, and the efficiency also reflected that. I think he's got some playmaking chops in there, and he looked good on the defensive end. So at a minimum, you have a 6'8" shooter and defender who projects as a good role player in the NBA. And that's just very good to hear. Although it might not pop to the average viewer, sometimes you can't always hit home runs in the NBA draft. So what you got to do is hit a couple doubles, hit a single. Kyshawn George, in my mind, is the perfect double. You hit a double with Kyshawn George. Now, I do think Kyshawn George does need some refining, given the B grade. I thought he fell asleep a bit on defense too much, especially off ball. While I do think he is a good defender when he's locked in, sometimes he falls asleep, which is obviously a bad thing. And as well as that, he averaged 3.4 turnovers to only 2 assists. Now, I did mention earlier that he has playmaking chops, which is very true. His feel for the game is very strong, but he can't make as many mistakes as he did passing the ball, or else that playmaking chops will never be able to show itself in full. Now, in the vacuum of Summer League, that'll definitely hurt his grade, but as it projects to next season, I think you'll see a lot of Kyshawn in the go-go next season, and I think he'll have a lot of time to refine those mistakes that he made in Summer League and just in college, and refine that to when he comes to the NBA, he's more ready to step up in a role where he's not making as many mistakes, and he's refined himself to become that perfect role player that I think he can be. So for that reason, plus the efficiency and the numbers and just how he looked out there, I would give Kyshawn George a B for this Summer League. Then next I want to talk about the 2022 draftees still playing on the Summer League team. Johnny Davis was drafted 10th overall in the 2022 NBA draft, and Patrick Baldwin was drafted 27th overall in the same draft, although he was drafted by the Warriors and then later traded to the Wizards. Now, me personally, I viewed both of these guys Summer League this year as their last chance to stay in the league and with the Wizards. Both these guys are in their 3rd year playing in Summer League and haven't shown much in their NBA careers or in Summer League prior. And coming out, both of these guys did not put up the numbers they needed to get another chance or to deserve another chance. Now, starting off with Johnny Davis did get a C in my opinion, just because his numbers weren't actually terrible. But to be quite frank, Johnny Davis needed to do more. He needed to put up 20 points per game a night because his peers, the guys drafted around him, are playing in all-star games. His peers are playing in playoff games. His peers are not playing in Summer League in year 3. And Johnny Davis is. And Johnny Davis can't seem to stand out even in an environment like this. His Summer League numbers actually got worse from last year. So to be quite frank, Johnny Davis shouldn't be on this team next year. He's going to be on the team this year just because he's contractually obligated to. I wouldn't even be surprised if he got waived and they just accepted the cap hold on Johnny Davis. But this was another disappointing Summer League from Johnny Davis. Then switching to Patrick Weldon Jr., at least Johnny Davis put up serviceable numbers. Patrick Weldon Jr.'s numbers were actually bad. They were bad numbers in an environment where he needed to put up great numbers. So a lot of what I just said for Johnny is true about Patrick Weldon Jr. He needed to put up great numbers. He couldn't do it. He's going to be on this team next year because he is contractually obligated, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Wizards just decided to eat his cap and waive him anyways because he does not deserve a roster spot on this team. That is why I gave Patrick Weldon Jr. a D-. Now, the only reason he didn't get an F is because in the King Summer League game, he actually hit a pretty good shot to give us the lead. So without that shot, he would have got an F, but with that shot, I will give him the benefit of the doubt and give him a D-. So like I said with both those guys, both Johnny Davis and Patrick Weldon Jr. are contractually obligated to be on this team next year. They have guaranteed contracts, guaranteed money for the roster next year. But like I said, they are taking roster spots from somebody who probably deserves it and can show more potential. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Washington Wizards front office sat down and waived them anyways, even if it meant they're going to have to eat that salary. So that's where I'm at with Johnny Davis and Patrick Weldon Jr. And then real quickly, I just want to talk about the non-guaranteed contract situation. So going into the Summer League, Gino Amarui and Jared Butler both had non-guaranteed contracts, meaning that they could be waived without having to give them their money. And this was significant because the Wizards currently have 16 players on the roster and you can only have 15. So in essence, these two guys are fighting over one roster spot going into this Summer League. And as you can see here, Jared Butler actually ended up playing no games, which in my opinion, in my interpretation, I believe that means his roster spot is probably safe. They viewed him as too good to play in Summer League and thus he didn't play. And Gino Amarui only played one game and was awful. He went 1 for 9, only had 8 points and 3 turnovers. So I'd imagine we will see Gino Amarui get waived to make the roster cuts. Now I want to talk about the guys who came into Summer League on two-way contracts with Tristan Vukovic and Justin Champagnie. Starting with Tristan Vukovic, coming into Summer League, I expected Vuk to be one of our best players this Summer League, and that was not the case at all. Vuk only played in one game, played 15 minutes, scored 2 points on 1 for 6, and a turnover and 1 rebound. Just not good numbers at all, and in general, he looked very lackadaisical, got blown by a couple times on defense, just looked very, very bad. And like I said, Vuk only played in one Summer League game, and he was on the bench for every other game, but just in street clothes, so I don't know if he was hurt or what the situation was with Tristan Vukovic, but it was definitely weird, and he only played one game and was very poor in that game that he did play, earning an F grade for the Summer League. Now, I don't think the Summer League puts his contract at risk or anything. Like I said, he was our second round pick last year. He signed this two-way contract almost like right before Summer League, so he's definitely safe for this next year, but just a weird situation with how this Summer League was handled with Tristan Vukovic. I would expect Vuk to have a pretty big role with the Capital City Go-Go this upcoming season. Now switching over to Justin Champagnie. Justin Champagnie was maybe one of our better players this entire Summer League. He was a consistent scoring punch, played solid defense, and overall just looked very complete out there on the court. And although I think you would have liked to see him make more of his threes, I think it's pretty clear to see that Justin Champagnie has a translatable role in the NBA as being a 3-and-D, attacking, scoring guard who can also defend. And although Justin Champagnie is currently on a two-way contract, he's different from Tristan Vukovic in the sense that he didn't sign his right before the Summer League and he signed his a couple months beforehand. And in my opinion, I think he's done more than enough to keep that two-way slot going into next season and even be looked at as a possible guy to convert to a standard contract down the road. So the players I've talked about and graded so far are all on the traditional roster. And now I want to talk about some guys who are fighting for roster spots who came into the Summer League not on a roster spot, but could leave on a roster spot. As I outlined earlier, Justin Champagnie and Tristan Vukovic are both on two-way contract, but that would leave us with one more open slot I think could get filled by one of these 6 guys. Looking at the top row of guys, those are the guys that I think should get the biggest looks at it: Jules Bernard, Taylor Funk, and John Butler. Starting first with Jules Bernard. Jules Bernard is a genuine scorer, shot 40% from 3 in this Summer League and 41% from the field in this Summer League as well. He probably offers the most versatile shot making of anyone on this list, but I do think he gets a bit of tunnel vision. Only 1.4 assists per game in this Summer League, versus 1.8 turnovers. So having more turnovers than assists in this summer league isn't great. Like I said, he gets tunnel vision sometimes when he's just looking to score, which isn't the most applicable to the NBA game. But I'd probably say he's the best shot maker of any of these guys to get the third two-way slot. He also played 19 games with the Wizards last season, so he kind of has a step in the door already. Then looking at Taylor Funk is probably the best shooter of the group, not shot maker, the best shooter of the group. He capped off the summer league hitting 8 threes in the final summer league game, and overall he just offers some good size at 6'8", mixed with some shooting. And in my opinion, he has the most projectable role as an NBA player, being a big shooter who can defend a little bit on the other end and grab a couple boards. Then my last shout here is John Butler. John Butler has always been kind of hypothetical in his size plus his movement. He stands at 7'1". If you ever looked at John Butler, he's a very imposing guy. 7'1", but he's very, very skinny and kind of just untapped in a sense. So I think this summer league he actually did end up looking a bit more refined than he had in past years, but even still I don't think he's refined enough to get that third two-way slot. But if you're projecting more as like a project guy down the line who could be more projectable, I'd say John Butler would be the guy. So I think if you're the Wizards front office, you're pretty happy here. You got 3 guys who all do different things on the basketball court, which you can pick and utilize for whichever you think is going to be best to the team. In Jules Bernard, you have a creative shot maker. In Taylor Funk, you have a true shooter. And in John Butler, you have intriguing size and weight for a guy that could be more projectable as a project down the line. But if I am the Wizards front office, I would be taking Taylor Funk as the third two-way contract. I think his size plus his shooting is incredibly valuable, especially in today's NBA. And you can kind of see all the grades that I've given all these 6 guys on this sheet here. But as a general statement, I hope all of these guys can stay on the Capital City Go-Go and within the Wizards system. Continuity, especially in G League and Summer League, is kind of a lost art in today's NBA. And I think the Wizards have done a good job at like kind of keeping that continuity. A lot of our Go-Go guys, G League guys are on our Summer League team, which I think is incredibly valuable just to building a culture. So I hope all of these guys can stay on the Capital City Go-Go and in the Wizard system to help build that continuity, to help build that culture of like a G League team. So yeah, that is how I would grade out the Washington Wizards 2024 NBA Summer League. Hope I did a good job kind of giving more clarity on the overview of how this Summer League went for the Wizards. And if you like what you saw, be sure to subscribe, like, all that good stuff. I got more Wizard stuff coming along the way, more basketball content coming this summer, so be subscribed to all that, and I will see you guys next time.